Another edition of Saturday Morning Human Cartoons. Now, we're a bit early today, but it's because for some reason my body decided to get up at 3 a.m. Now, many times during the shortest days of the year, I do get up at 3 a.m. But as dawn gets later and later, I get up a little later. So anymore, I'm up about 5 a.m. Now, we're going to get a summer. So, it's just about my regular getting time up to get up in each summer. Because it's almost 5 o'clock. Most everyone's in bed, but we're going to be doing this mostly for replay. Aren't we, honey? Now, Richella's already went outside for the morning. She's going to be real surprised, too, because it's literally freezing outside. Now, it's kind of nice because I'll leave a 2-liter on the deck. So I will literally have a ice cold 2-liter of Coke as soon as I end this stream because I knew it was going to get about freezing. So I just set the thing outside. So it should be about 33 degrees temperature or about that. So it will literally be ice cold. And then I will get tacos for breakfast. I love you, honey. Okay, we got a couple of people in here, but yes, this is really a bad time to do this, but later this morning, I might go back to bed because it's going to stay cold as can be here today. And I'm not into that. And I don't really have anything to do. Hello, Cass. Let me get Chad up. I sound a little bit hoarse, but I'm fine. Some of it is because I'm getting allergic as I get older, and she's right up in my face. And that's one reason why I have to blow my nose, because I'm getting slightly allergic to my kitties. In fact, I'm going to have to hold you down for a minute because it's getting to the point I can't breathe. So I hope you're well, Cass, and we're going to be listening to some Milton and Adrastia. This is the Cry Bully edition of Human Cartoons. Because, as I mentioned, I've been up for a couple hours, but one thing that I did do was prepare audio. Now, Milton has it in his head that he somehow hexed me and cursed me. I mean, things have been better here the last year than it's been in over several. And somehow he thinks he cursed me. So that's a heavily human cartoon. And apparently Milton had a dirty delete last night. And Savannah Smiles caught it. It's a short one, and we will get to it. And in this dirty delete, he claims that he has destroyed my life or thereof. And like I said, things have been incredibly better. I mean, I don't ever have to walk 10 miles for food ever again. I mean, yeah, right. I mean, really? Now, if I have to walk to the dollar store, it's just slight exercise. I mean, walking a couple miles every few days is good for you. And that's all I have to do now. All I have to do is walk a couple miles every few days if I really had to. And I also, I've not used it, but I have a Cash App to where if I really needed something, like say in 6 months, I had an expense and was completely broke. I could get a few dollars off of YouTube and I could walk to the store and get myself what I need. Like I said, I've been quite secure for some time the way things have been going. I mean, I've even got about 2 or 3 extra pounds on me now. I mean, it's kind of weird when I put on my pants now. I see like 2 or 3 pounds I could use to lose. And I mean, I have not had that in several. Well, I take that back. When I was with Karen, she literally made me eat when I didn't want to. I don't know if that was an Italian thing or not, but she would make me eat. And that made me put on weight. And as soon as she was out of my life, that extra weight went away quickly. Well, Cass, I mean, you don't hear everything going on, but there's a guy that's promising to bring some machinery in and dig my water line. Now, it's not going to get my water line fixed, but a lot of the big cost to fixing my water is the digging part. And I got somebody here that later on in the spring is promised to bring some equipment over and do the digging part. So, after I get the digging part done, then all I'd have to do is get a plumber to lay the line and fix whatever's needed with plastic PVC under the trailer. I mean, that's why it's like, Milton is crazy. He gets this shit in his head. I mean, things haven't been better. Like I said, I never have to walk 10 miles for food again. 2.2. I mean, that's it. And as I said, walking 2.2 miles every few days is actually good for my health. So, I mean, Shim is stupid. But once again, he makes these proclamations and he don't know any magic. He knows none. And this whole week, I am going to remind that moron of it. Now, once again, I don't go in and talk about how bad things are or how great things are because, it's just life is life and things have been improving and most people know it. But I mean, I've not told anyone on YouTube that I found someone that I'm very sure that will dig that line. Now, I noticed something. When I went live yesterday, Rachella hopped up and immediately all over me. Now, Summers, I gave her a little bit of love, but she was basically sitting here. But now that I've actually started, she's like all up in my face. Her and Rachella get so jealous of YouTube. And that's most of the time why they display. Because they're saying, he's mine, he's mine. So like I said, things have been a lot better here. I mean, I've seen more human beings the last few days than I've seen in months. And I'm not kidding. Like in the last 3 days, I've seen more human beings than I have in 2 months. And I'm starting, honey, I wish you'd get down because I'm starting not to be able to breathe. I think I know what I did wrong. Yes, I think I know what I did wrong. Now, you see, I just realized something. I always make sure that Summer is fed before the live stream. Always. Never have I had a live stream that she's not been fed before the live stream. Now, I just realized today she's not been fed because she's not really out of bed. Like I said, she's been in my lap and she went from one side of the bed to the other. So yes, like I said, normally she always has a can of wet food before I live stream. She hasn't had that today. And as I said, as I get a little bit older, I get a little more allergic to them. And that's as I get older. And I'd really like her out from under my face. Now, we're going to get to some Adrastia audio. Now, I went back to some of her older stuff in an archive. There's one, okay, I was looking for one to start with. This is only a 2-minute and 33-second clip. Now, remember how she always cries about Adonis Paul? I'm going to play a little bit of Adrastia, then I'm going to play Milton's deleted audio, and then back to Adrastia. Because I think that Adrastia, you need like breaks in between her crying. Now, this was 4/19/2021. So this was April 19th of 2 years ago. And the title is Royce Lopez Killed Me. Now, I didn't know Adrastia then, and this was before Adonis Paul made her a regular feature. First person that discovered her was Royce Lopez. Hello, Joe. We're having Saturday morning human cartoons. And what I do on Saturday mornings when I can is I will get up early and I will play the more absurd bullshit on YouTube. And mainly today it's going to be Milton and Adrastia, because for this chapter, for the next few weeks, we're going to heavily be taking on the cry bullies. And as I said, she makes now Adonis Paul to be the epitome of all evil. This is before she ever knew Adonis Paul. And this is how she has always acted. And this is a short clip. And I mean, this is Saturday morning human cartoons.
Y'all want me dead so badly, but you won't call me back and hear it happen, huh? You won't let me do it live on your show so that everybody will know you're responsible. But you want me to do it, right? You called me this morning and told me I was on your show. You called me this morning and told me to kill myself. You called me this morning and told me, so why wouldn't you call back? Why don't you want to hear it happen? Why don't you want to know what you're actually doing to me? Why? Royce Lopez, why? Why did you call me this morning and then hang up before I had a chance to hurt myself on the phone for you? You want me to hurt myself or you wouldn't be calling me. So why? Why? Don't worry, I'm going to die today, and I will make sure that people know that Royce Lopez caused it. People will know that Royce Lopez killed me today. People will know who did this. People will know. People will know, and you will not get away with it. You should have just called me and listened to it happen live so that you could make your money, because you know your heartless fans will pay you good money to hear me die live. Instead, you'll have to wait until it comes on the news and the police show up at your house to ask how you know me and why my dead body was found wearing a sign with your name on it, which is about to happen right now. I'm getting my shoes on to walk outside to the expressway and jump off of the overpass wearing a sign that said Royce Lopez drove me to do this. I had to come back to my apartment to get the cardboard and make the sign. But I've made it, and I'm going to tape it to myself, and in less than...
Well, shit.
I don't know why that said fucking...
Now, I don't know why they just damn did this. Well, hold on, everyone. I'm having a phone issue, and I want to sail the thing up against the wall because it cut off the last little bit. Then it went out of what I was playing, and then went to a damn live stream that I have no interest in, and then didn't want to let me out. Now, YouTube's been glitchy as hell in the last week. I mean, this wasn't even on my playlist. This was a current live stream. But yes, that was Adrastia before Adonis ever covered her. Now, all Royce Lopez did was cover one of her videos. That's all he did. You know, just like I'm doing right now, except he played visual with it. And that's all he did. Now, she says he called her. Well, Adonis Paul was there. And Adonis Paul says Royce Lopez was on his live stream, and Royce Lopez did not call Adrastia because he was seen during this entire time live, just like I am now. Adrastia made that up. Hello, Urban Tales. Hello, I said what I said. Hello, poor Roberta. Yes, unfortunately, Roberta, we're talking about the mastermind of your murder. Now, the mastermind of your murder keeps claiming people murdered her, Roberta. But, like I say, there was two that I wanted to play in order. Fortunately, I got this one last. Now, the title of this is My Mother's Death is Not on My Conscience. She made her choices. Now, you just heard her threaten to off herself because someone covered one of her videos. And threatened that they're going to jail if she jumped off a bridge with a sign that said they made her do it. Now, her mother died. Her mother needed an organ. Now, this is smug Adrastia. I mean, this is why that if Adrastia was on the street and needed help, I would turn and walk away. Now, I don't think there's probably 5 to 8 people on this planet that I would do that with. So it's about a 1 in a billion people. I would just turn around, walk away, and say, ha ha. But like I say, that is a 1 in a billion. But this video is why Adrastia is on my 1 in a billion list.
I'm going to quickly talk about my mother, because it keeps being brought up in my comments, and I want anybody new who might come along to kind of see both sides of the story. Because in my comments, they're saying that I killed my mother, and now I'm going to kill Adonis Paul.
Yes.
Kill everybody.
I really can't say that for terms of service, but
accusing
yes.
me of being responsible for my mother's death since my mother passed away. Me and my mother did not have a good relationship. She was an alcoholic, and she was being abused heavily while I was growing up. And after my father killed himself and freed her of that abuse, she chose to marry another man who abused her and remain an alcoholic and a drug addict.
Well, many times on my other channel, I would have an educational theme. And right now, that is what we're running through. The cry bullies. Milton, Adrastia, and Bob and Lori. Because I want to illustrate on how they try to use pity to abuse everyone around them. So, you know, I am keeping terms of service because, for a little while, it's not going to be my all the time content, but, for a segment, I'm going to be heavily focusing on these people until everyone understands what a cry bully is. So when we run into someone that actually needs sympathy, we can give them sympathy. And when we run across one of these creatures, we all can just call them a cry bully and move on. So by doing this, I am actually trying to help the people that deserve help.
Remain an alcoholic and a drug addict. And I know alcoholism is a disease and it's hard. She had choices. She chose the alcohol every time. I can remember at least once when she was beat, specifically because she went to the store and bought alcohol instead of food. After my grandmother passed away, I never spoke to my mother again. I was homeless for 5 years, and that woman never reached out to comfort her child.
Okay, now the thing is, she said she was homeless. So if someone's homeless, how do you get a hold of them? It's up to them to get a hold of you. But the thing is, Adrastia was never stable. She was a problem wherever she goed, constantly crying for everything she wanted, and the grandmother was the enabler.
Was living in a tent on a sidewalk. And I was right there, right here, on YouTube, on Facebook. My entire family has been able to contact me the entire time.
Right.
They chose to watch me suffer homeless. They didn't come out to say anything to me until I published my book, and they got angry and wanted to fight me because
her book was a pamphlet. Her book was a full lie. Her book was taken from other books, and she basically plagiarizes other people's stories. This is the thing with Adrastia. If she finds a story she likes of pity and abuse, she will adopt that as her own. Now, I have found out this from other people and being watching her over time to where I have seen this. I wasn't ever going to say this out until I felt so in my heart. But other people have said this, and I have seen this pattern.
I told my story. I owe these people nothing. My mother owed me a safe childhood that she didn't deliver. I don't owe her anything. Last year, well, the year before.
Okay, now, once again, up to this point, Adrastia, they didn't for me. They didn't for me. And now she says, I don't owe you nothing. Well, they didn't owe you nothing. You're an adult.
Now, it's 2023. I received word that she was sick and she was dying and she needed an organ. And I made a video saying that if she would talk to me, I would give her what she needed. In exchange for an honest conversation with my mother about my childhood, I would...
No. She didn't. No, she said here, an honest conversation. No, she said, you come on YouTube and basically say what I want you to say about me being abused, or I will let you die. That is paraphrasing on the ultimatum she gave her mother. If her mother didn't come on YouTube and say exactly what she wanted, that she wasn't going to give mommy the organ, And she didn't.
I would give her either a kidney or a part of my liver, whatever it is she was needing. And my family either didn't tell her that that was an option, or she chose death over that conversation. Because the next thing I heard was that she had died.
Now, once again, if it was true, then mommy definitely would have done it now, wouldn't she? But if it was all a made-up bullshit Adrastia lie, of course she wouldn't. And she didn't. And Adrastia let her mother die.
And it was my fault for not just giving her my organ, like any decent human being would have done. What do I owe to a woman who literally abandoned me at birth? And
she was in the family. She grew up in the family. You know, she's just making it out that mom abandoned her. No, mother didn't. Her mother raised her. And she was always a problem. And then she would go to her grandmother's because her grandmother was her enabler.
Never tried to connect with me. And never tried to love me. And would not even have a conversation with me to save her own life. My mother began drinking at 13 years old. It is not my fault that she died at 59. And it is garbage that so many people believe it is my fault. For a year, I've been harassed and accused of murdering my mother because I would not.
Well, once again, these are the facts. You decide.
Let somebody cut me open and take out one of my vital organs for her.
Okay. Now, once again, they wouldn't be taking it out if it was and giving it to someone else if it was a vital organ. It's like, by heart, it's a vital organ. There's only one of them. A kidney, if you don't have one, is a vital organ. But you have two for a reason. And they only take a piece of the liver.
For a woman who was never going to speak to me again after the operation.
Now, don't you think that's heavily projection? No, this is her wanting to validate her decision.
It's the same as a stranger on the street. Would you give a vital organ to a stranger on the street for nothing?
Maybe.
Just walk away from them and barely even know their name afterwards? Well, I just cut 10 years off.
Example. A younger woman with 3 children. If a younger woman with 3 children said, I needed a kidney, and I was compatible with her, well, you know what? She'd get a kidney. But like I say, possibly, not every stranger, but there are situations like that one, say a 20-some-year-old woman that has 3 young children, and if I didn't know her, and I was the only one that could definitely save her, or even if it was likely or possibly I was the only one that could save her, yeah, here you go.
Well, I just cut 10 years off of my life, but I'm a good person, and that's what good people do. Jesus would not have done that.
You don't cut 10 years off your life. But yes, she's saying that Jesus, with myth, supposedly sacrificed himself for us all. But she's saying that Jesus wouldn't give up the kidney for you. I mean, Christianity says Jesus was crucified for us, which is that an impalement is like the most two horrible deaths. And she says that Jesus would not give up a kidney, which, there'd be anesthesia, proper doctors, you'd hardly feel a thing, versus tap, 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 ah! And this is why Adrastia is a Saturday morning cartoon. Now, she's a horrifying Saturday morning cartoon, but she still is a Saturday morning cartoon. So those were the two that I wanted to play first. The rest of these, it really doesn't matter. And after this next clip, we will go to Milton's live and then get back to this human cartoon and maybe even talk some Bob and Lori. But on Bob and Lori, I think I want to linger, so that's why I'm going to hit them last. Now, this is May 31st, 2021. This one's 9 minutes long, and it says, "Please help me." So I want to know how, it's been what? Year and a half? Well, actually a little more than a year. Well, yeah, it's been a year and a half. So a year and a half ago, Adrastia, with her Hills Have Eyes look, is saying, "Please help me."
Help me.
Hello, Jennifer.
Please. Somebody. Help me.
If Obi-Wan Kenobi was here and she said, "Obi-Wan, you're my only hope," he'd just say, "My name is Ben Kenobi. I do not know Obi-Wan Kenobi."
My life has become
Hello, Lisa.
a hell that even I couldn't have imagined. And I've lived through some hellish times. Please, somebody help me. They're gonna take away my home. They've already
Spoiler, she's still in the same apartment a year and a half later.
taken away my funds, my friends, my support. And now they're trying to take my home.
Now, back then she claimed that people were taking her friends. No, she acts like this to everyone, even in her private life, because there was one of her, quote, high school friends defended her, and at this point now she's in the Adonis crowd, because she said this is what she's like all the time. You cannot have an interaction with Mary without psycho crying. And it's all her manipulation.
Turn into a home.
Hello, hula girl.
I didn't do anything.
Well, you do have to remember, hula girl, that AP is a cartoon man. And cartoon men do not have the same values as the rest of us.
I didn't do anything to these people.
Now, hula girl, thank you. Now, you see, the thing is, now I don't have to do this anymore. They built a store closer to me just recently. Now, I was walking at huge distances, and Mary's lying about what she walks, because your body physically cannot do 10 to 20 miles a day. You can't. I mean, this is how I know that she's playing with the phone, pretending she's walking. This is how I know that, because you're not walking 10 miles a day. No, you're not. Because that used to be what I had to walk for food. And I could do that maybe if I had to, life and death, I could do it about every 3 days if it was life and death. And there's no way currently Mary is walking what she says, but I'm thinking about doing that. This year, I'm thinking about walking for Roberta. And I think I'll make that a series. Later on in the year, when it gets nice out, I think I will walk for Roberta.
I was living my life when they started using my videos.
We can make that a movement.
If they had never started lying about me, this would not be happening. If that one show had not began calling me a murderer, I would be allowed to live my life right now. I would be allowed to go in the kitchen and make myself some breakfast instead of sitting here shaking and cold because I haven't eaten.
Now, once again, she's on YouTube screaming, but somehow it's stopping her from going into the kitchen and having breakfast. Now, I didn't have breakfast because I really didn't want to eat yet. And I am sure that's exactly what it is for her.
Yeah. I wouldn't be waking up being told to kill myself every day. They only do it because Daywave convinced them that I am a murderer that deserves this. I'm not.
Well, like I say, I'm going to start in the spring, but I can pack on a lot of miles. And by doing this also, I'm going to disprove her. Because as I said, I know, I can do great physical things if I have to, because I've had to. Now, I know I can walk 36 miles. I can walk at 3 miles an hour for 12 miles. And after that 36th mile, your legs go out from under you. You're done. But you're not only done, you're done for a week. Because, doing that, because there's now, once again, she's not walking 36, but she did claim yesterday she walked 20 miles. And this is how I can extra prove her bullshit. Because if I still walk 20 miles of those 36, I'd still need 3 or 4 days to recover from that.
They've shown zero proof. They've had 4 months to investigate this, and they've shown zero proof that any of it was my fault.
I'm fine, but my voice is cracking for some reason.
Every day they make videos and they make hundreds of dollars. While they have completely destroyed my entire existence and led people with pitchforks and screaming to kill me.
Yes. Yes, it's destroyed her entire existence. It's like one girl, you ruined my entire life. And I looked at her and I said, from beginning to end? Like that? And you know what she said? Yes. And you know what I said? Bah, ha, 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 ha. And that was the end of the fight. Because like I said, I mocked her and she said, you destroyed me. And of course, nothing happened. All it did was we broke up. I broke up. And she's screaming at me, you destroyed my entire life. And like I said, I went from beginning to end and she just, yes. And at that moment, I completely lost it. I guess I was about 19 at the no, I wasn't even 19. I was 18.
They're going to be contacting my Section 8 building. They've already threatened to contact my therapist in the past, my doctor.
Well, we're doing human cartoons, and we're doing the Cry Bully edition. So we're talking about Milton, Adrastia, and I'll probably end on Bob and Lori. And we're about to play Milton, but Adrastia is such, I'm going to play Adrastia, go to Milton, back to Adrastia, then pop to Bob and Lori, because you kind of like need a break in between Adrastias.
They're going to destroy my entire existence because of a lie.
It's okay.
That they still haven't proven. They lied.
It's in Adonis Paul's, Mayo #1, I believe. He starts with the murder of Roberta Laws. So yes, if you go to Adonis Paul's channel, Mayo Part 1, he starts that with the murder of Roberta Laws. In a different live stream, I covered that. Now, that live stream right now currently isn't available, but I will cover it again. Because once again, Adonis is not going to strike me. It's like the channel I'm using right now, Adonis is a part of it, and I don't have to worry about it striking me. So you will notice that I won't stop the video today unless I have to stop the video, to give relevant commentary. I don't have to do it just to keep terms of service.
Wave lied. Royce lied. JJ lied. I am not a murderer. They lied. They lied, and my life has been turned to hell for the last 4 months because of it. Somebody please help me. Please, somebody help me, please. Please, somebody help me. I can't do this. I can't live like this. I have no friends. I have no money. I have no help, and I'm being told every day to kill myself.
Well, damn it, did it again.
I'm not making up how it's affecting me. I'm not making up.
But now, I'll get that back to where it was, but now, let me talk a little bit about this. Now, the murder of Roberta Laws. Adrastia, in my opinion, was the mastermind of the murder. She incited it. She bought the shovel to bury Roberta. She pawned the dead woman's belongings and forged her name on a receipt. Now, he killed Roberta on Adrastia's birthday. Adrastia, for months, had been telling Kenneth McBride, get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her. And they have receipts of her texting him to get rid of her. Now, these are elements of that Mayo video that lead me, as a logical juror, to believe that she was the mastermind of the murder. But Kenneth McBride was a kitty diddler. And they wanted Kenneth McBride to never, ever, ever, ever get out. And if Adrastia was charged with this, he would have got second-degree murder and not first-degree murder. And at some point, he could have got out. The prosecutor chose to put Kenneth McBride away forever and let Adrastia off. Now, he did this for the people. And dealing with our system, he did the right thing. But it let Adrastia off for murder.
I had to kill myself for something that I did not do. Oh, because somebody else wanted to make more money. They made more money because of what they're doing to me. That's why they did it. That's why they won't stop, because people are paying them. I just want my life back. My life was very simple.
Now, in this area of Adrastia, she had just recently lost her supporters. Now, from other people, Adonis Paul, it turned out when she was on the streets, there were a group of old women that she was basically getting a decent amount of money from regularly. And she was grifting these people. because and she would use these crying fits to do it. And they finally got caught onto her. They realized that she's never going to do anything to help herself, and that this was a never ending cycle. They thought they were trying to lift her up, but there was never lifting Adrastia up, because this is all there ever is, entitled crying. Recently, she has said all she wants to do is get high and play video games. Well, if all you want to do is get high and play video games, then don't expect to have any money.
It would be pathetic compared to a lot of y'all's, but it was mine. I just got my home this year, and they're going to take it away from me. They mail things to me. They put things in my mailbox. They follow me.
Now, with her mailbox, it turned out her mailbox was broken and anyone could open it. And kids were getting into it, it turned out. But at this point, it all had to be the evil internet people.
I am scared. I am scared. And I am hopeless for this to ever end. I didn't kill anybody. Daywave lied. My family lied. They lied. They lied so that you would hate me. And it worked. And now you all hate me, and now you all watch me waiting for me to die. Because you believe that I'm this horrible, murdering person. I never killed anybody. I didn't kill anybody. I've been abused my whole life. I just spent the last 5 years...
Okay, my dad didn't feed me from 6 to 13, and I came up with my own food every day. Now, once again, this was a different age. Mainly there were World War II veterans that were older people, and you could sweep their walks. You could shovel their driveways of snow. You could cut their grass. You could find ways to make $1. Now, Mary is always cry, 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 cry. But you always need to do yourself. But Mary lived under her grandmother's wing, and everything was there, Adrastia, and Granny giving her money to shut up.
Of my life homeless. I spent an entire year during a pandemic where everybody else was locked in their homes. I spent that year in a truck, shitting in a bowl. I have been fighting.
She spent a year in a truck, shitting in a bowl. That must have been one hell of a shit. A whole year shitting in a bowl.
So hard to live. To get to a place where life would be good enough.
Now, if I took a year-long shit, I might cry like her too. Except I'd be boo-hooing about and it just kept coming.
That I could heal and be a real person like everybody else. And the second life got to that place, they started tearing me down. Beating on me emotionally, spreading lies about me, and trying to hurt me.
Now, what I've told you about her has been absolutely, positively fact.
These men want me dead for no reason. I do anything to them. I wasn't talking about them on my channel.
Now, everyone, you've been hearing all the sniffing. Do you see one tear in these far apart eyes? You've heard this. You've heard that sniffing every fucking sentence. Is there one single tear in those crossed eyes?
Before they took my videos and sent their subscribers over to call me a murderer. I wasn't talking about any of these people. I wasn't talking about Kiwi Farms or any of them. But now that's all my life is, because I wake up every day to these death threats. And I know that they're going to do it. They're going to hurt me. They know where I live.
And this was a year and a half ago. This was first 4 months in her apartment. And no one's ever come, because if anyone was to come, she would cry at them.
And there's nothing I can do. You know, there's nothing I can do. I can't even go and get myself a gram of weed to keep myself calm, because I'm completely out of money. So I just have...
And that was the entire point of this, in the sniff, 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 sniff. She is having hysterics because she wants a gram of weed. You want a gram of weed, don't you? She's giving me my cat weed. She's standing on both of my arms so I can't move. Now, this is one of her strategies. When she really, really wants my attention, she will stand on both of my arms so I can't do anything. And she just came and stood on my arms. I love you, Summer. But when we get to Milton Audio, you know, you can stand on my arms all you want.
Have to sit here and be scared and wait day after day and wait and wonder, is today the day they're gonna come? Is today the day they're gonna show up? Is today the day I'm gonna get kicked out of my home because they've been lying to people? God help me. God, please. Somebody hear me. Somebody help me.
Now, the women she was exploiting, they were religious women. Now, at this time in Adrastia's life, she used the God word a lot. You notice she doesn't use the God word now because it don't bring her the money.
Please help me. Please. Help me, please. Help me, please.
Obi-Wan, help her.
Help me. Please help me.
Now, you notice her cries about this, and then she says weed, and then she's basically chanting, help me. Now, as you know, you keep hearing her sniffle, but there's not a tear in her eye.
Somebody. Anybody. Please. Please help me. Please help me. Alright, so I just
Yes.
this video and I haven't watched.
Yes, she wanted you to please help her because she needed a gram of weed. What? Excuse me, honey, sweetie. Yeah, I saw one of her videos, but thought about it for later. But I think on second thought, I'm not going to play that one. Now, shit. Well, hell, where did it go? Did he delete that? I hope it didn't. Or did she delete that? Just a minute, everyone. Maybe I put that on my save later by accident. If not, my other audio might have got nixed. Yeah, just a minute, everyone. I think that might have got pulled down. Unfortunately. Because I know I put it on that list and I didn't see it on that list. Okay, well, Roger just evidently made a mistake because here it is. Now, Savannah Smiles XOXO caught Milton's dirty delete. And Milton is now swore that he's going to do all his lives this week on YouTube's on kids. And when I can, I'm going to play them live. And we are going to poo-poo the shim. But yes, this is Milton's dirty delete, courtesy of Savannah Smiles. Hello, Kanice.
Tell me what to do. Tell me what I can and cannot post. That bitch is in danger of getting hurt very badly. I know where she lives, and that's it. I know where the bitch lives. And she is pushing my buttons, knowing I have a short fuse, knowing that I do, knowing that I have a very fucking bad temper, and pushing my buttons and going deliberately on John Camillo's. A fucking criminal himself, harboring the swatting that happened a while back with Mark Terry. You know, that's Camillo's incriminating himself by letting her up there. He is putting her in danger. This whole thing, he's putting me in danger, he's putting her in danger. So take notes on that. Camillo and Molly are putting people in danger right now as we're talking. As we're talking. So guess what? I'm going to use YouTube Kids to expose pedophiles.
Now, you see, anyone that puts someone on that Milton don't want to, and you heard his response. Now, he's going to go and he's going to start calling everyone that he don't like the P word.
I'm going to expose pedophiles on here. That's what I'm going to do. The people that are overly concerned with the children. Savannah Smiles, you're a female pedophile. And you target special needs people. You're the biggest scumbag of all. And you try to act so calm and you're soft voice. Can you come up here? Fuck you. You are a devil. A devious white devil. You have no consideration for what other people are, what they want to be called. You're just like all these other people.
Now, once again, or Chad, I might go in and ask her, is she a white devil?
It's on you. You all deserve to die because you're taking over this country. That's it. Far left is the only fucking way to get rid of them and the only way to vote. We need a far left revolution right now. A far left revolution to get rid of all these bastards.
He's calling for a revolution.
It's been enough. What they want to call the far left in this country ain't doing shit about it. And I'm sick of sitting back and watching my country go down the drain. I am so...
Now, yesterday he talked about Betty. Now, mainly right now, it's about Savannah Smiles. Now, in my last live, I played the audio of him attacking Betty. In the one before that with him, I showed him attacking Mama T. So I guess in reality, he's gone the trifecta. You know, he's went from Mama T to Betty to Savannah Smiles.
Those are people like this. Fogo on YouTube admitted to looking at child porn during some investigation. There was another way to do it, but she chose to look at child porn. Okay?
Well,
That's the thing. She chose to. She didn't have to do it. You know?
well, during my time, that's really what this channel does, is I'll keep you up to date, because everyone can't keep track of all the BS going on. So, you know, that's kind of my main mission statement is my job is to fill in the gaps for everyone as well as do my regular content.
Sam, but every night I'm going to go on YouTube Kids just to piss you off. And you're going to have more panic attacks. I've been hearing about you. You've had panic attacks and you weren't feeling very good. You want to know why? Because I was locked into you. I was locked into you. You want to go down hard? Keep messing around. And sometimes I've learned I don't always have to go to someone's place.
Now, Savannah has him sped up so Milton can't strike her. So, you know, once again, she has sped Milton up, but she did it for a very good reason.
I don't always have to. But I'll tell you what it does. It gets people in fear. It gets people going because I absolutely could. I was around her neighborhood probably about 2 weeks ago, I think. Over a week ago I was there. Maybe 10 days ago I was over in that neck of the woods in the southeast quadrant of Houston, Texas. Yes, I was over there about 10 days ago. But you know what she did? What she did was she threw me off because she was telling Rosie Red she lived in Kansas. But you know what she was doing? She She was trying to do the Dorothy the Wizard of Oz thing. You know, that's what she was thinking about doing. You know, all that. So, go ahead, Camilla.
Well, actually, if she did the Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz things, she would have dropped a house on you, Shim. You know, the Wicked Witch of the East, she got a house dropped on her. Just saying. And that's tend to be what Dorothy's do to you witches.
Oh, Molly, flag me down right now. Flag this down. Can you get this down? Come on. You said you were going to help Savannah flag me down, so they're going to try to take my channel down.
Well, basically, if he knows the creator, he's upset with the creator.
Apparently, Lolly and Camillo now want to have my children's videos flagged. So flag this one. Come on. Take it down. 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 Can you try to do that? Can you do that? Can you do that? I don't think so. YouTube won't listen to you.
Now, he dirty deleted this. You know, he's calling for everyone to take this down, and he deleted it.
They see that you've been involved in some shit. They're not going to listen to you. As soon as the guy trying to get more help, I throw YouTube. They answer me, but apparently they're not doing anything about it because I'm not doing anything. That's why. I'm the only person that will get picked on for fucking switching my thing to YouTube Kids just because I don't want to deal with trolls. I'm the only person who will get shit for that. You know who did that?
That's because YouTube for Kids is for YouTube for Kids. In reality, I am a very good storyteller. In reality, I could do children's stories and tell them on YouTube. But I don't, because I mainly do adult content. And even though I could do this very well, you know, telling kids stories on YouTube, and I could probably tell kids stories on YouTube and have a larger channel. But once again, this is oil and water. I do adult content. Therefore, I never, ever, 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 never need to put my shit on for kids. Because as I mentioned, if I wanted to make a kids channel, I could do a whole lot better on YouTube than I do doing drama. But I live in an adult world and I do adult content. And I will never hit kids only unless it was an absolute positive accident, which in that case, as soon as I would realize that, I would delete and start over.
Well, get shit for that. You know who did that and they never got shit for it? Abby. Abby always did that and never got shit for that. Abby did that.
Oh yeah,
I'll
WB.
tell you that. There have been people who've done that. And they never got any problems for it. You know what?
Well, yeah, right, Nancy, goodbye.
Nice stream last week on
I just run this channel.
walking around.
Goodbye, Nancy Grace.
It's
Hello,
so
Rosie.
fucking dildo shows up in there. I mean, really, so what? It just showed up.
Yes, hello, Rosie, and goodbye, Nancy. I never liked Nancy Grace, just saying.
On the fucking camera. I wasn't deliberately trying to put it on there. Fucking idiots, you fucking idiots. But you know what? I'll use this YouTube Kids to expose pedophile females that are out there preying on the children instead of looking after them. You know, potential female pedophile is what's going on here.
Now, we know that Milton is a creature of projection. Now, once again, this is Saturday morning human cartoons. So normally I would delve into a dark subject for a few minutes, but since this is Saturday morning human cartoons, I try to keep it lighter if possible.
I'll play. Trust me. You want to go on Camilla's piano? I'll fucking get you back tenfold for this one. That's all there is to it. That's it. That's all. And there's some definite fun that could be had here, for sure. Especially with someone like me. Has a short fuse already, and you're trying to aggravate me, and you're trying to stalk me, and get into my fucking business. Not gonna happen, bitch. I will make you will lose the game every goddamn time, because I will have your head spinning in circles. You won't know what to do. You'll be thrown up in the toilet in the middle of the fucking night. I have caused trauma to people who have not backed off what I fucking asked them to. They have been fucked up for life sometimes. This energy is real, I'm telling you. I'm of the supernatural. I'm telling you, I am of the supernatural.
Yes, and now Milton goes on and claiming that he's not just a witch, he is the supernatural.
Yeah, I can fuck people up, literally. I fucked them all up. Roger Brown, Nicholas.
Now, how has Milton fucked anything up in my life? I mean, things have been better this last year than they've been since before I started having seizures. I mean, this last year has been better for me than any year since 2014. So, last year, I have had my best year in 8 years. Things have improved greatly here. I had a pet die that had cancer over 2 years. You know, I took Sissy to the vet a few years ago, and turned out she had cancer, and it wasn't immediately malignant, and she lived 2 years. I would say she's not going to live to see Christmas. And then she lived to see another 2 Christmases. And then she lived another half of a year. So, my animal that I expected to pass quickly, I took care of her 2.5 years past when we expected her to pass. And he claims this is his great magic. Because the poor kitty had colon cancer. Because at some point she kept trying to go to the bathroom, and I took her to the vet and there was nothing wrong with her. And then we found out she had cancer. And it wasn't something that could be operated on, and she wasn't in any overt pain, and it took 2.5 years to kill her. But this is his great victory he's claiming.
I fucked your whole community. So yeah, apparently you have a death wish. Apparently you have a death wish. Just don't come crying to the cops. Don't come crying that you're being bothered because you brought it all on your goddamn self. And none of you apologize, so I never apologize. That's my philosophy. You want me to apologize? Fuck you. And go about your way. Stick it up your ass.
Well, I mean, my policy for Milton for my entire life after this is go fuck yourself, Shim. Just saying. And also, I dare Shim to come here. I mean, he's scared as hell. I mean, anyone that is a threat to my life, I will eliminate them. With extreme prejudice and a smile on my face.
That's it. I'm going to turn my thing to YouTube kids every night now to spite you. I'm going to expose everyone who's complaining about me as a female pedophile. Have it your way, just like Burger King. Have it your way. Right? Right?
Hello, YTS.
Oh, yeah. I will get demonic.
Now, one thing that I have done, now I guess I've never told you this because I haven't done it in a week or so, but when I can, every Saturday morning, I'm getting up and doing Saturday morning human cartoons. And I'm playing the more absurd audio.
Absolutely fucking will. Because all of you are, every single last one of you are a backstabbing son of a bitch. I'll tell you right now, that's why I can't work with any of y'all. That's why I cannot. Because none of you are subordinate. There's very few out there who are subordinate. And when they are, I have their back 110%. I'll never give anything away. It's because I care about myself, and my success. If anyone's out there only doing what's best for me and they never let me down, I have their back for life. But you don't know what that's like. You have
Milton has turned on everyone he has ever been around.
no idea what being a or someone who has someone's back, cause
Hello, Patty.
you don't challenge them in times when there can't be things to be challenged. But it's when you go against the grain is when you get yourself in trouble. If for no good reason for going against the grain other than to cause trouble. Just don't come crying when your life is in shit because of me. Don't come crying that I did this to you. You asked for it all yourself. And I will risk being the most hated person if it's good for the universe. If it's good for the universe, and I'll...
Well, Joe, he just does that to be insightful. Now, that's the thing with Milton. He doesn't be feminine to be feminine. He only does that so he can call you names. That's why he picks blue lipstick. Now, I'm going to be giving him fashion tips, and I'm also going to be giving him magic tips. Now, I do have a picture saved of a woman with blue lipstick, how it's supposed to be done, where she's taken two colors and used it to shade it, and it actually looks quite nice. So in my saved pictures, I do have a picture of what blue lipstick is supposed to look like when it looks good, which of course is the opposite of what Milton does.
All these people are scumbags. It's great to be hated. I'd hate to be respected by these people. If you were respected by them, you wouldn't be...
Well, she's had a live recently, Kanish, and you missed it. But here it's below freezing. So, you don't get Veronica when it's sub-zero. And we went back, now a couple days ago, it was 65 degrees here. Actually, yesterday it was 65 degrees here. Now, no, I take it back. It was the day before yesterday. I forgot I slept. But yesterday it was cold, and now today it's even colder. It's literally freezing here right now. It's right at the freezing point.
People, if you were respected by them, you wouldn't be a holy individual. You wouldn't. I am a holy individual because the whole community hates me. And the only few people who do like me are the actual few good ones out here. You don't want to hear the truth, but it is the truth. I am a targeted individual. A targeted individual. The people, I see if Savannah want to disguise it, but they are in the Mean Girl Club. Totally. Maybe not now, but they were.
Now, Savannah's not a mean girl. And once again, you hear his victim complex. Now, the funny thing is he goes from victim to God all the time. I mean, he's either this powerful thing that cannot be stopped, or Milton's the victim. Now, this will probably end up being fleshed out into a commentary video because, I mean, he's either this supernatural being or he's a super victim. This is why Milton is a crybaby.
Community, and they come over here, they're very sneaky. They get the same tactics.
Yes, he is.
This person's a Michelle Marie lady's trying to get control.
Now, remember, like him and Adrastia, they will adopt anything they can to claim greater victimhood. This is one reason why these are cry bullies. And it's the same with Bob and Lori. Anything they can grasp on to make themselves a bigger victim is gold to them.
Well, too, notice this person, Savannah, targets special needs people. You notice that? It says you'll see. You'll totally see as you get to know her.
Now, the funny thing is, Verily Veronica's channel, she actually has an Indonesian demographic. Now, the interesting thing about her channel is about half of her subscribers are worldwide subscribers. But yes, Verily Veronica actually has a significant portion of her subscribers from Indonesia.
We'll see that she targets special needs people and all that. And children now. So children and special needs people, if you want to always put yourself around those people And you want to put on your Mr. Rogers voice when you were around Rosie, and like pretending to be interested and all this, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's definite signs. You're a pedo. And Betty Washam's a certified female pedo now. She freaking admitted to fucking watching child porn during an investigation. She didn't have to do that, though, but she chose to do it. Or something. And yeah, that's how it went down. And she didn't want that video getting out there. But I have it. So I don't know why there's people behind the scenes who like me that want to help me out here. You don't see the few people that are working for me here. You don't see them, and I'll never reveal their identity because they're with me. You know? You could have been one of those people, but you chose not to be. And now you're going to pay for that, you know? Now you're going to pay for that, period. Because the people who know it's right will give me the right information at the right time on a lot of these deviants down here.
He was drinking. Now, I didn't know this. I missed that the first time. But yesterday, now it's the day before yesterday, he was drunk on his live. The live I covered that he had yesterday, he was not drunk. Now, this was in the middle of the night while I was asleep in Savannah caught it. But obviously he was drinking beer during this.
And they're deviants. That's what they are. Deviants. And I will go on YouTube, kids, and I'll expose the deviants. That's what I will do. I'm sure they'll really love that. A twist that they would have never expected. Yep. Okay.
Hello,
so
favorite
I don't have
stalker.
much else to say right now, but I pwned it on Savannah. She thinks she can get around here, and she's going to go on Camilo and Lolly's, the two biggest people under investigation right now. Under the point, the two biggest scumbags at this point. In time. And that's it. I mean, in Lolly, I could be coming through Mississippi very shortly. I'm going to be tormenting you the whole fucking time when I'm in your state. I'm going to be tormenting your ass over there. But that hasn't come yet. You got a little bit to go, Lolly, but gear up. Gear up. Because I could go to that town of yours, Saucier. The town that starts with an F there, and it's 7 letters, right? Right? Yeah. So, yeah. So there we go. I'm going to be... That's another thing. John Camillo wants people's nudes on here too. Here's another thing I'm going to do, okay? John Camillo wants people's nudies, okay? You want to know why he wants them? Because he gives them the lolly and then they both get off to them after live streams or when they're not.
Now, he is on YouTube's Kids. Now, let me frame this. What he is saying right now, he is saying on YouTube Kids.
On camera. They want these pics and they talk on the phone and they have orgy sessions looking at Berg's penis and whoever's they have and all this. That's what they do with the photos when they get them. Don't let him fool you. He wants people's nude pictures. Trust me, he wants all of them.
Well, he deleted it. But Savannah Smiles caught it. If Savannah Smiles didn't catch this last night while I was asleep, I wouldn't know of this. So, we all do have to thank Savannah Smiles for keeping an eye on Milton. And like me, she don't want Milton doing this on YouTube Kids. So, I do have to thank her very much for keeping an eye on Milton. She's proverbially, quote, doing God's work.
He wants people's nude pictures. Trust me, he wants all of them. And anything I have to contribute here, he's not going to totally tell the truth. But he thinks if it's not a crime, if you don't get caught, that's the kind of person Camilo is. He's totally outside of the law. Absolutely. And that's the kind of person you want to put trust in. Well, you're idiots. You're idiots. He's currently under investigation down here right now. So, that's all there is to it. suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer every single time. Apparently it hurt.
So apparently he's going to go on kids mode just to hurt us. Now, I think there's a good chance that he might get terminated this week. An above average chance.
She's so bad you cry every fucking time I do it. Blah, blah, blah. I put my content on YouTube Kids, so I'm going to do it.
Well, that is what it is. You know, Heather Inman did this. The most horrible graphic things because you can't share YouTube Kids stuff. And that's why they do it. And that's why people like me have to play the audio and bullshit when they do this stuff. And this is why, you know, I have to thank Sarah very much for catching this.
Oh. That's it. I'm going to talk to you later now. I am finished.
And now he is finished. And his title was YouTube Kids will be on all the time now. So, whenever I have the time and can catch it and I'm not in the middle of something, we will be here to catch him. And once again, Kanish Quotes here had something to say. And I can't say it on terms of service. But personally, when I see him do that, that is what I am going to do. And that was the audio that was missed last night. Now, the channel that had it is Sarah Smiles XOXO. And now and then I link her stuff on my community tab. I think I did, but I'm not sure. Did I? No, I didn't. Because normally I go ahead and do that, but oh man, he just I'm just having to laugh. You know how lolcows, they're laugh cows, but Adonis Paul linked a Adrastia vid with her walking around with a cardboard hat she made, talking about Adonis Paul stalking her.
And go from fear to anger. Like, this has been a year. You have been terrorizing me. A year you have caused me to live in fear of my safety. A full year this man has been making.
Now, she is walking down the street looking like this, with a homemade cardboard hat on her head, raving about Adonis Paul. Now, if that was coming at you down the street, what would you do?
Nightmare. And you had to know that eventually the fear was going to pass on and I was going to become angry enough to do something. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life with people following me around for this man that I don't even know. That's the thing.
Now, later on after the live, I will find Savannah's channel and I will link it on my community tab.
Guys, like, this man that is stalking me, he's not my friend, he's not my family, he's never been a boyfriend. He's just this guy that found me online and has spent the last year making my life a living hell because he can. And if I have to walk around with this hat for the rest of my life to let people know the truth, I will.
Spoiler, she has not walked around with her ridiculous hat the rest of her life because I'm sure everyone ran away from her.
Because I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not sitting at home and crying and being afraid that these people are going to come after me.
Me too, doing my time.
They know where I live. They've staked out my...
Now, I hate to say this. I mean, this is like, damn, this is cold-blooded. I hate to even say it, but it's funny. But at least when she has that on her head, you're not looking at the big gap in between her eyes. Like I said, I hate to have to say that, but it is true. I mean, it's a mean girl comment. I mean, a bad mean girl comment. But the fact of the matter is that hat, you don't look at the rest of her issues when she's wearing the hat. So I guess maybe more is less.
My home. They've also staked out the dispensaries that I go to, which is illegal. It's got to be illegal to be casing dispensaries.
Now, she accuses people of casing dispensaries. What she would do is beg for something. I need tampons. That was constant. I mean, she had more periods than Letitia before she got pregnant. But she was also always I need toilet paper. And what people would do, the trolls, we saw you going to the dispensary, Mary. And then she'd confess to it. And this ended up a pattern where Mary would e-beg, saying, I have to have this. Then her commenters would say, we have proof that you went to the dispensary. Then she would fess up to it. And this was every time. And this is why we talk about Adrastia and weed the way we do. Because as I said, there was a phase of her existence. She was constantly e-begging for needed items. If she really, really needed them, yeah. But like I say, her trolls pretended that they had eyes on the ground. And she would admit then every time of going to the dispensary. So this is why anytime that she says she has a need, this is why everyone says it's always for weed. Because she's the only person that I truly believe that is all her e-begging is for.
Dispensaries. That's just, going to dispensaries and sitting around taking videos and pictures, getting every angle so that they can know whether I come and go. How is that even legal? How can you say that's not stalking? You've got people out on the streets taking videos and pictures of me for you. But then you're going to insist that you're not doing anything wrong. You're just paying people to follow me around and keep you updated on where I'm at every second of the day.
Now, she really thinks that people on the internet are paying people to follow her around. I mean, we got all this money to follow murder hobos around that are addicted to weed. Like I said, everyone would just say, we have the proof you did, and then she would confess to it. And the more she confessed, the more people would say this. And the more she would confess. To where there was never one single instance that she wasn't grifting for weed. And this is why Adonis, me, and everyone else always immediately goes straight to the weed thing with her.
That's been my life for a year. It's been my existence for an entire year over a man that I have never even met. This man is determined he is going to have me killed or make me kill myself. And I have never even met him. That's the most fucked up part about it.
Now, remember, when I started this live, my very first audio was Royce. It was her threatening to kill herself live because Royce Lopez covered her on YouTube. And now she's transferred that to Adonis Paul. Now, if any bump in her life that she don't get her way, it's the S word is always her solution.
This isn't some scorned lover, It's just some guy that likes to ruin women's lives, that likes to stalk and harass women. It's not okay. And I'm not living with it any longer. I won't be silent about it. I won't let it go. And I can't afford a lawyer. I can't afford justice.
Now, the title of her book, the one that she basically plagiarized, that's really a pamphlet, the name of it is I'll never stop screaming. I'm not kidding of that. That is the title of her book. I'll never stop screaming. And I just say I believe you.
That's why I have to go in public and make as many people aware of the situation as possible.
Well, all she wants to do is smoke it and play video games. I mean, it's like in reality, if I try to grow it, they would take everything that I have. I own property. Now, once again, if I could grow my own, I would grow my own. But she's too lazy. If you gave her everything to do it sitting in front of her, she wouldn't do it. She'd cry. Someone needs to dig this hole. Someone needs to tend this plant. Blah, 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 blah. Someone needs to water it or I will X myself.
It's my
that
only
would be
option
her.
Now. I've run out of legal options. And the only option for me to escape this cyber...
She wouldn't fill out her paperwork for her assistance. And she didn't get her money for some time. And now she lies about that and claims that it was someone else stealing it. When I remember the era of, I'm not filling out the paperwork. I'm not filling out the paperwork. But now she dirty deletes everything. But like I said, I remember, I have a memory unlike Adrastia. And I remember last summer her doing that. But now her story is someone was stealing it from her.
Terrorism.
That's why I know
Adonis
she's too
Paul
lazy
has
to do
shoved
that.
Into my life is to make as much noise as possible and have as many eyes turned towards me as possible.
Well, CYTS. No, this has been her whole life. Like I said, this has been her whole life. She cried to Granny to get whatever she wanted. Crying was always her path to success. I mean, literally, like you see, it's hysterics. It's child hysterics. I want my way. Earlier I showed you the video of her sniffling every sentence and never once a tear in her eye.
Possible, so that people will begin to listen.
She was chronically lazy before the pot.
For the next week, at least. Until I feel like I've been heard. Until I feel like I'm safe. And this man is not going to hurt me. I might not ever feel safe.
You're right. She does need a group home environment, but she would make everyone else's life a living hell. Now, Amberlynn Reed, I used to cover her, and she was in a group home. She would steal food. She would beg for food. She would manipulate and cry till others gave her food. And this is what Adrastia would be. It's just rather than food, it would be money for pot.
He has my address. He has already been watching me for a year. He's already figured out where I walk, where I go, where I shop, where I get my weed, where I get everything, where I get my medication.
No, she's in California, and Adonis Paul is in Texas.
Well, he has all of this already plotted out and planned out to follow me for the rest of my life, and it's just fucked up. And I don't even know who he is. I don't even know who he is. I don't even know his name. This man has made me lose countless nights of sleep and tears. He scared me out of my own home multiple times, and I don't even know his name to file a formal complaint. And you can't understand how hopeless that feels. You can't understand how defeating that.
She knows his name, and he's encouraged her many times to go file a complaint, and she won't. Now, in this one, she still has on her fun hat. Yes, see, she went through a while where she wore that everywhere. And apparently, it was not the attraction to help that she hoped it would be.
To have this being going on for month after month after month after month after month after month after month. He scammed his followers for $1,500 to send men to urinate on my disabled brother's grave. But he wants...
Now, Adrastia wouldn't shut her mouth. Now, he titled a video, a live stream, "Fundraiser to Pee on Bubba's Grave." Bubba was not talked about anywhere in this live stream. For the record, Adonis was buying a truck, and he was getting the down payment together. No one talked about Bubba. This was just the title to the stream. It was nothing more than clickbait. The content of the stream, Bubba was nowhere in it. And he raised $1,500 for the down payment on his truck. And like I said, no Bubbas were harmed in the making of that live stream.
Me killed.
And no one to this day has ever peed on Bubba's grave.
Believe I used for what I said I used it for. A supporter sent me $20 for food, and I used it for food. And Adonis Paul wants people to hurt me because I used that $20 for food. But he doesn't want people to know
She used that $20 for pot.
that he earned $1,500 to urinate and desecrate on a disabled person's grave.
Now, until recently, in my debunking of this, this was always what she said. She blurted out to everyone that they had Bubba's grave urinated on. When it came down to the facts, it did not. Her aunt, her blood relative, who bought the headstone for her brother, went to the graveyard, visited her mother, her brother, and she had a bottle of apple juice there. She set the apple juice down. She said a prayer on the grave. She picked the apple juice up. She took it home with her. And on the way home, she drank the apple juice. Now, these are the facts. It took me a long time to find out these facts because Adrastia was constantly, they peed on Bubba's grave. Now, you have the actual facts now that happened. Her blood relative, her Aunt Kathy, whom she hates, who bought her brother's headstone, was at the graveyard, set down a bottle full of apple juice, picked up the bottle of apple juice, took it with her, and drank it on the way home. And somehow, this was peeing on Bubba's grave. And this is why this is a part of Saturday morning human cartoons.
He wants me killed for a $20 donation for food, but doesn't think anybody cares about a $1,500 donation for desecration of a disabled person's grave.
Well, YTS, she gets 200 in food stamps a month. I used to live off 200. I eat less than $200 of food a month. Adrastia, no doubt, sells some of her food stamps for more weed. I just have no evidence of this, and I can just say that is opinion.
Keep telling yourself you're not the most fucked up people in the world.
So that's how she ended that one, by calling everyone the most effed up people in the world. Oh, now let me get my playlist back up. And then we'll play one more of her. Then we'll go back to Bob and, or we'll not back to, but then we'll go start talking about Bob and Lori. So what do now? The thing is for like right now, I mean, I got like 20 more of these of Adrastia that I picked out this morning. That's just more of her bullshit. Now this one's long. In fact, it's a little too long. So we may not play all of it, but this is 5/18/2021. So this is May of the year before last. So this has been about a year and a half ago. Now, the title is Money is Required to Survive. It's not a choice to need. it in this world. And this is about a 15-minute video, and I might not play all of it. Depends if it gets interesting. Now, being Adrastia, I doubt it will get interesting, but with everything that I framed, I want to use this as an educational moment. This is Adrastia now trying to con you for money, but now you know exactly how this all works.
I ask for money when I need help, when I need food, when I need tampons, when I need supplies, when I need...
Now, remember what I said earlier. She would beg for these things that you would say, yes, that's a necessity. And then she would go to the dispensary, people would say we have evidence of it, and then she would confess to it.
Mental peace for 5 seconds. That doesn't mean that I'm trying to take advantage of people. That doesn't mean that all I want is money. That doesn't mean that I'm just trying to be a millionaire and just trying to take money. I do not want to be rich. I do not want the money from my family. I want to live. That's it. I am not trying to be a millionaire. I am not trying to take...
Well, actually, YTS, she uses a cup. Yes, she has a menstrual cup. Because on one of her deleted videos, she cried, I'm a mile or two from home, and my menstrual cup is flipped, and it's up inside me. And this was one of her cry videos. See, she wants pity so bad she doesn't think. But for 2 years, she goes around and cries for tampons. And then when she has a mishap with her menstrual cup, she starts recording it, letting everyone know that she has always put a menstrual cup in her to catch this. And once again, the tampons was always a grift. Now, this is before she got busted a ton. So once again, after this happened was when she kept getting busted. And once again, we never found a time that she wasn't lying.
Hundreds or thousands of dollars from people. I am trying to exist. $10 a day, $20 maybe. That's...
Well, yeah, I like $10 or $20 a day. And in fact, for my weed for my seizures, it really does come to about $10 a day. Thinking about it, yeah. $10, $12 a day keeps the seizures away. About 1.5 to 3 grams a day. It's about what I smoke medicinally. Now, once again, it's no one's responsibility but mine.
I'm not asking for millions. These people, they make videos 5 days a week. They make hundreds of dollars every single video.
I admire that about Leah.
And then they tell me
Not the body hair.
I need $5 once in a while for food. That nothing in my life matters. It's all about money. I'm a human being that requires...
She's a human being. Now, if she sells her 200 of food stamps for 100, it gets her an extra $100 a week. Excuse me. Now, her rent was $28. She gets a $1,500 apartment for $28 a month. And she wouldn't pay her rent. She would get $200 in cash every month. And she gets $200 in food stamps. For her rent, she is supposed to take $28 out of that $200 to pay her rent. And for that $28, she's getting a $1,500 apartment. Now, I know everyone right now that is paying rent now feels sick to their stomach. but she hasn't paid her rent in over 2 years. She's been there 2 years. She has never paid her rent once. She's used it all for weed.
Slight amounts of money to exist because that's the way society has been set up. You cannot exist without money.
Well, I forgot. YTS don't know this. She was in Florida. She went all the way to LA so she could get better services. Because in Florida, she was on the streets. And someone on the internet said, if you go to California, you can get this, this, and this. And she did. She ended up walking up to Georgia, and then someone pitied her and gave her a ticket to get all the rest of the way to California. She tried walking to California and got into Georgia, the next state over, and then someone felt bad for her and gave her a bus ticket.
That does not mean that I want money or that I do everything just for money. It means
she literally went from Florida to California so she could get supported. That's for money.
in order for me to survive, sometimes I need money. It's a requirement. It is a necessity. It is not a choice. I am not choosing to need money. I am not choosing to be hungry. I am not choosing for...
Well, I don't begrudge people subsidize housing. I really don't. But the fact of the matter is, she only had to pay $28 a month for a $1,500 apartment. I own my own place. My property taxes every month is greater than her rent. Yes, let that sink in for you. Yes, my property taxes every month is far greater than her rent. And I own this. Clear. But as I said, my property taxes are greater than her $28 a month.
For my basic necessities to cost money that I am not worthy of because I'm a piece of shit.
We can agree on that part.
I'm not choosing this. This is my life. And I am tired of being mocked for needing help because I have been desperately pleading for help for so long and just being mocked by the people that have the help. They make hundreds of dollars a day, making me want to kill myself.
Her yearly rent is about $325. Now, my taxes for this place, depending on how things go, are $500 to $600 a year. My property taxes. So yes, she is paying 50% for rent on just what my property tax is. And because I'm a farm, I get my property tax at a lower rate. Because if I actually wasn't a farm, I would pay much more in taxes because there's a farm rate and there's a residential rate. And the farm rate is much better than the residential rate. So I'm getting the better rate. And my taxes still come to more than her rent.
All about money to them. And they're saying it's all about money to me when I make no money. I don't even get my food stamps anymore.
She didn't fill out, remember what I said about her? She was too lazy to fill out the paperwork. That's why when someone said she needed to grow her own, I mean, you could have all the stuff laid out to do it. And she'd sit there and cry and scream and wouldn't do it. To get her housing, to get the food stamps, to get her money, all she had to do is fill paperwork. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. To supposedly spite Adonis Paul.
I make nothing. I live off of nothing. I have nothing.
Now, I have nothing, I want nothing except what's able to survive. Now, when I started having seizures, I got $200 in food stamps a month, and that was it. And I had to get all preserved food, which was really expensive. So, I ate for about 18 days a month, and then like 12 days a month, I didn't have anything.
I am sorry that this world requires money. It is not me requiring money. It is not me wanting money. It is not me wanting all of your money and wanting money and wanting money. It's not me.
Well, my plan is like when I'm 80, I'm going to rob all the young people. I mean, because by the time we're 80, all we got to do is like get a stick and like, give me all your money or I'll poke you. And they'll act like Adrastia, even though you're like feeble and old and, you've got like a little tiny stick, they're going to go, ah, here you go. So, my plan when I get really, really old is to get other old people together and all of us to take over. The young will be too stupid to stop us.
Tampons and I want weed. I don't want money. I don't want to just take from people. I just want to live. I just want to eat and feel better for 5 minutes of my life. And I'm tired.
Now, don't you love her hyperbole? For just 5 minutes. I'm sure in the last year and a half, she's felt good for 5 minutes. But I think she's just being too greedy.
I'm having it painted as me being this selfish, greedy whore that just wants money and just live.
Well, she did put on her Facebook multiple times, and I've also heard her say that she would anything for a gram of weed and was offering services for this.
Thing is about money. It's not. But money is required to live. Anybody should understand that money is a requirement to live.
Now, everyone, once again, do you see a tear? This is planned hysterics. This is what the cry bully does. They try to guilt you or use planned hysterics. Not a tear in those wide apart eyes.
Putting down a human being who gets less than $200 a month for that $200 is absolute garbage. Because every human being on earth has to have money in order to survive, in order to buy the things that they need to continue to thrive. I am a human being that deserves to thrive. And money is required for that.
Now, for her to thrive, she has said recently, all she wants to do is smoke pot and play video games. And you know what? When I was 16 years old, I was rather fond of smoking pot and playing video games. But you know what? I was 16 years old. And also I worked. I mean, at 16-year-old, I went to school, I had a job, I got high, and I played video games. I mean, they weren't exclusive. I got up in my morning, I did my shit, then I went to work and I did my shit. And I would get home and I would smoke some pot, I'd play some video games, and I would go to bed. That was my life at 16 years old. And she's about, 37 now?
That does not mean that I am doing anything just for money. It means that money is required as a part of life. I don't want it. I don't want to live in a world where money is important. If everything was free, I would be perfectly happy.
Well, in reality, Kanish, weed where I live is cheaper than any dispensary in the country. Honestly. I mean, what I get it for is just as good or better than the dispensary, and for about 50% of the price of a dispensary.
Never have to beg anybody for help ever again. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in is a world
Well,
where
then you
people
could probably
mock
grow
and
it.
put down the homeless for having nothing and shame them and tell them that if they need something, then all they want is money. Because it's not like they're human beings that can actually have needs like other humans.
Well, in reality, they don't hear either. It's just Adrastia has an addictive personality. And everything with her is always histrionics to get whatever she wants. I mean, once again, not a tear in that face, but you see how she forms her face. She acts like she's crying and she's not. This is childlike hysterics.
Beings. They don't see the homeless that way. You don't see the mentally ill that way. You don't see me as a human being. And I am desperate to be seen as a human being. Please. I have nothing. And they just keep saying, oh, she's a princess. She's spoiled. She's entitled. She has everything and wants everything.
Well, now, I've been pretty comfortable. I mean, where Milton says he would destroy my life, I'm like, I'm having the best winter I have had in, God, I mean, I took care of my mother over 10 years. That was a nightmare. It's been better than any year after since she died. So, you know, I'm probably having my best winter this century. And Milton supposedly thinks he destroyed me with his magical curses.
Taking thousands off of me, telling other people to let me die, let me starve in the street, mocking every fucking need that I have as not being real. I am real. I am a human being. This is not an act that I am putting on for a show. This is my life. This is a real breakdown. This is my life. This is real. This is real. This is really affecting me. I am really suffering. I am really struggling. Please, God, somebody believe me.
Now, remember, she is in a room by herself with a camera. I mean, I just can't imagine picking this up and, you know, straightening my hair and going, ah! Into the camera. I mean, I just can't picture this. I mean, she's in a room by herself with raving hysterics.
I am not a bad person trying to take from people. I am a broken human being trying to exist and being shamed for trying to exist on a daily basis by people who also do nothing but earn money from other people. They do nothing but sit.
Now, see, Adonis Paul, when he gets a super chat, it hurts her. Now, Adrastia's channel could be monetized and she don't. Remember that, everyone. She now has over 2,000 subscribers and she has never monetized her channel. Remember how I said how lazy she was? That you could lay all the stuff out there to save her life and she would just sit there and cry.
On their asses and make fun of people, and people give them money just so they can tell the people they're making
And she's not on disability, by the way. There's no reason that she can't make money.
fun of, that they don't deserve money, that they deserve to starve to death while these motherfuckers sit on their asses.
She has the watch hours. Trust me on that, because she'll put out about 15 videos a day sometimes. For example, this channel, with what little I do YouTube, gets over 4,000 watch hours a month. I mean, in 1 month, I have my watch hours for the year.
That's not a job. It's not a job to be on YouTube and make fun of people. Get a real job. You're going to keep telling me to get a real job. I'm trying to do what I can. My YouTube was about me. It was about my...
Now, once again, she's never tried to monetize her channel. The only thing she's done on it is come on, cry, beg, then hide it. And this is why there's archive channels. Because, once again, she rewrites her history on a regular basis.
It was gaming. It was not just attacking other people for thousands of dollars a day. Because I don't want to make money off of attacking people every day. These people are not human. They make their money destroying people weaker than them. And it's not okay. It's not okay. And I will not stop speaking out about it, and I will not stop saying it. And if I wind up dying, these videos will still be up for people to see and hear forever, because it is not okay. And people will listen one day. People will hear me. People will see me and understand that this is real. This is not a joke. It's not a game. I am really going through all of this. And these people are really becoming millionaires, mocking me for it.
Now, Adonis is not a millionaire. Adonis now and then needs stuff. There's now and then that I have seen Adonis do a stream because Adonis had to pay a bill. And she's claiming that people are becoming millionaires off of her.
Their fat asses while I starve to death, and telling their viewers that I deserve to starve, that I don't deserve $5 to get food.
Oh yeah, Tracy. I mean, she is a woman child. Now, in reality, most of the time on YouTube, we deal with man-child. That's usually a man thing. But in this case, we have the opposite, and Mary is a woman child. I rarely have to say that. I usually have to say man-child, but Mary truly is a woman child.
Any kind of pity or any kind of sympathy. I only deserve mockery and hatred and judgment. All I've ever...
Now, once again, this one's long, and I'm going to cut it there because she goes on for another 6 minutes. But she's kind of pissed me off, this morning. So I'm going to go to Adonis Paul, Mayo Part 1. And we're going to play a few minutes of it.
Friends, we meet again. If you are subscribed to the Adonis Paul live channel and you watch Late Night, or Daywave Radio, or JJ Stoner's D-Live channel, you might be familiar with our subject for today, and the latter part of this tale. If you don't, prepare to spend a couple of hours on a roller coaster ride of pity, anger, feces, and...
Yes, we're only going to play a little bit of this, but it starts with the murder of Roberta Laws.
Laughter that is so unique in the world of horror cows, it goes by only one name: Adrastia. Adrastia has not one, but 2 YouTube channels.
Well, what I try to do on Saturday, I call it human cartoons, and I try to find the more ridiculous stuff to say for Saturday morning. That way it's a little bit lighter, and you can start your day shaking your head.
Her first, just her name, Adrastia, which until recently boasted over 1,900 videos of her screaming, being homeless, and documenting her life, which ran the gamut from Oh God, is this the most pitiful thing I've ever seen? To full-on internet lolcow freakouts and reeing at her comments. After she became mildly embarrassed by that recently, she started a new channel, Adrastia Needs Help, where after some unfortunate run-ins with morning and late-night internet talk shows, she retreated to and seems to be a little bit more stable. Strap yourself in, folks, and get ready to embark on a journey into the weird and wild world of a 35-year-old emo homeless runaway. A woman with the emotional stability of a 2-year-old putting herself through the worst imaginable circumstances. It's going to be a confusing ping-pong game where your emotions will flail between disgust and sympathy. But before we begin, I would like to make a few...
I mean, there's no commentary that I can give to that other than just nod my head.
things clear. Adrastia claims to have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and is on medication for it currently. And I believe this. I believe she suffers...
Except there is no medication for borderline personality disorder. Because in reality, it's not something that can be cured. Now, bipolar, there's stuff that they can give you. But borderline personality disorder is a way of doing things. There is no medication for that, but Adonis did not know this.
Some manner of abuse as a child, as nothing about this psycho gives me the impression that she had a happy, healthy childhood. And her family has recently confirmed that's possible. And I do not believe she murdered Roberta Laws. Whether she was an accomplice to hiding the body and selling her belongings is in the realm of possibility, and we'll get into it shortly, but I never am going to accuse her of murder. I just can already see some of the...
Now, Roger, when I laid this out the first time and played the entire clips of the murder of Roberta's Laws, I did call her the mastermind. And I do believe she is the mastermind. Now, we are not going to play the entire section of the murder of Roberta Laws. I'm going to redo that. And because I don't feel that fits with human cartoons. But once again, I wanted, because there's a lot of people here that have little knowledge of Adrastia, I wanted you to listen to all of that to Adrastia, and then I wanted you to listen to about the first 10 minutes of this. And Mayo Part 1 is on the Adonis Paul channel, and it is a 3-hour documentary. And there is a second part.
Criticism I'm going to encounter, and I want to get ahead of it. There are things I find funny, and there are things that horrify me.
That's
in
what
the
I
videos
believe.
We're about to watch. Without doubt,
I believe without her pushing it, I do not believe there would have been a murder.
will be making fun of Adrastia a lot, but there are also things like people touching her and burning her tent, and certainly the conditions we'll see later at the homeless shelter she stayed in that are not okay. And that's the other thing I want to address before we get started. She's a more complicated lolcow than Kimber or Scooby. There's freaking murder involved in this story. We're going to see firsthand what it's like to...
And this is the truth. I mean, there is murder involved in Adrastia's story. And this is really what, draws the eye with Adrastia. That, and you think, will she ever stop? And the question is no. Because that was always her tactic. Badger until she got her way. And this is what she did to everyone in their life until they push her away. And that is the way that Adrastia does things.
Live on Skid Row in Los Angeles to disgusting detail. She will be sexually assaulted, physically accosted, multiple times in multiple ways. It's terrible. On the other hand, Adrastia is the personality type that refuses to help herself. You will also hear her lie, make terrible excuses to pass up opportunities, whine for help more than anyone you've ever heard in your life, and blame all of her problems on anything and everything but herself. She's like a Salvation Army Santa ringing his bell asking for change, except instead of Santa, it was a middle-aged emo chick, and she kept all the donations for herself to buy gluten-free food. And as will happen when you have a YouTube channel, The internet will find her, and she will handle that about as poorly as you have ever seen in your life. Adrastia is an absolute shit show, but she is a complex shit show. It's okay to feel shocked and even feel pity sometimes, and then absolutely hate her guts 2 minutes later. That is the paradox that...
Now, once again, he's completely right. And this is one of the reasons why I'm playing this right now, because this wasn't on my original schedule. But, Adonis has known her more than me. And this is a perfect assessment. I mean, other than that one little thing he didn't understand, that there was no medication for borderline, I mean, he's 100% on.
Is Adrastia. My intention is not to get her to hurt herself or to hurt her with this video. In fact, stuff like her life in the truck and the tent are kind of interesting. If anything, I wish she would unprivate her old videos. The saddest part of this story to me is that she really could have had the YouTube success she craved so bad. Some of the videos we'll see here are viral in quality. You'll know them when you see them, but she can't even work hard enough to make meta tags or even name the videos properly. Instead of fight on LA bus, she names the video, "This is why I walk everywhere."
Now, he is right about that. And you see, she doesn't hashtag anything other than cry bully stuff. So the only thing that's doing is drawing problem people. Now, the thing is because of her and the algorithm, everyone that is crying bully now is coming up in my fucking recommendations. Because of me having to cover these people so extensively, yes, I am now in my home feed getting these people thrown at me.
And for every video where she catches some real street shit, there are 50 videos where she is having a complete mental breakdown over nothing. She simply tells so many conflicting stories and accuses so many people of so many things. A record had to be made to get it all straight. Also, this segment might be the most talking I do in the...
And this is, and once again, I wanted Adonis Paul's word to frame her. Because this is true.
I'm taking a back seat on this one to the timeline of insanity that is Adrastia. And the last thing I wanted to ask is that nobody go and harass this clearly unstable, mentally fragile, borderline mentally disabled 36-year-old emo lady. No joke you make in her comments will be as funny as the jokes God himself is playing on her currently. In addition, as you will see later on, she absolutely cannot handle criticism. So let's get started with the nexus point.
This is also why I wanted to play this, because you heard her say over and over, so-and-so wants to X me, so-and-so wants me in past tense. You just heard Adonis Paul, in his own words, frame her and ask that no one bother her.
Of this psycho's life, the murder of Roberta Laws.
I wish that Shaq was my real life big brother.
We got an ad.
What's up, little bro?
Shaq, you're out of here.
I would like to begin by saying that nobody alive knows for sure what happened when it comes to this brutal killing, except Adrastia and her ex-fiancé, Kenneth McBride, who is currently serving a life sentence for the crime. The opinions I include in this description of events are my own, and in no way are accusations of guilt. The state did not charge Adrastia with any crimes. That is a fact. I will piece the story together from news articles and Adrastia's many accounts of it, some of which not only conflict with one another, but many flat out not even making sense. This includes her self-published book, I Will Never Stop Screaming, which is not only a transparent ripoff of the more successful A Child Called It, but it's also written like a lazy junior high school book report on it, with misspellings, quadruple spacing to pad the story out, and absolutely no self-awareness. Anyone reading this book will very quickly know they are imbibing a work of fiction. In this book, Adrastia details how she is the most victimized person to ever walk the earth. From a childhood where she was being eaten alive by rats as a baby, to the high school experiences of cutting herself and having leprosy, and how literally everyone she has ever known has raped her. She details how her family is a group of inbred abusive pedophiles who are all conspiring to hide the truth. But less interestingly,
now, remember her mother. This is basically what she was demanding her mother come out and say on the internet, or she was going to let her mother die. And she let her mother die because she wouldn't give up an organ. But this was her demand. You heard what Adonis just said. This is the basic gist of what Adrastia was demanding her mother come out and say on the internet. And that's why people say she killed her mother.
it also provides an account of the murder of Roberta Laws, as written by a 5-year-old. I wonder why her family is so mad at her. All she did was call them daughter-fucking pedophile white trash and then complain her books didn't sell good enough. According to Adrastia, she fell in love with registered sex offender found guilty of attempted rape of a child under 12, Kenneth McBride, during a whirlwind relationship.
Now, this is why Adrastia got off. Because Kenneth McBride was already a convicted kitty diddler that had gotten out. And if it was second-degree murder, he could have got out again. But they didn't charge Adrastia. She turned state's witness, got off scot-fucking-free, and Kenneth McBride will never be able to harm another child again. And that's why Adrastia got off.
She had no idea that he was engaged for the last 10 years to a disabled woman with cerebral palsy. This was Roberta Laws. Now, any normal person would have known something was up, because according to Adrastia, Kenneth would put her up in hotels where he would just drop in from time to time for what I can only imagine to be the most rancid-smelling sexual encounters known to the civilized world. I base this on the fact that Adrastia's vagina has the acidity levels of a wounded xenomorph alien. Again, according to Adrastia, he would take her shopping at jewelry stores and take her to try on wedding gowns, promising to marry her. Wow. I never thought I would consider a life sentence in prison dodging a bullet, but here we are. And then he just broke it off with her. According to her book, she rushed to his house to get the truth, where Roberta answered the door. Kenneth then came outside and talked to Adrastia, telling Roberta that she was a caregiver that he had put an ad out on Craigslist for. Eventually, letting her in where Adrastia shared a night of making new friends with Roberta. The next day, she got a call saying that they would like to hire Adrastia as a live-in caretaker for Roberta. Adrastia, because she...
Now, Adrastia moves in. So he has 2 girlfriends, and the new girlfriend wants rid of the old girlfriend that has cerebral palsy who's disabled. And that was Roberta Laws. She became Roberta's best friend. I mean, I'm not kidding. She became Roberta's best friend. And Roberta ends up dead after she keeps bad, you see how she pushes everything. So this is what she was doing to Kenneth McBride. Get rid of her, get rid of her, get rid of her. And finally, she pushed the lunatic into killing her. And this is why Adrastia needed to go to jail forever.
An awesome person, accepted this job. As she writes in her book, I figured a job is a job, showing a work ethic in her fictional tale you will never see in real life. And then she continued the relationship with Kenneth behind his disabled fiance's back, pretending to be her best friend by day and sleeping with her fiance every time she got the chance. Adrastia, according to not her book, she leaves this part out for obvious reasons, but according to the police report and articles, wanted Roberta gone. The police seized her computers at her Mima's house and found a number of messages telling Kenneth to get rid of Roberta. Now, Adrastia says she meant put her in a nursing home, but apparently without being that specific.
Now, once again, these messages are always get rid of her. It's not put her in a place to get the care she needs, or put her in a nursing home. It was always just get rid of her.
And without specifying that, Kenneth apparently never got that part of the message. According to Adrastia's testimony, the following took place on the night of her birthday. Adrastia's Meemaw took Kenneth and Adrastia to a birthday dinner. But what Ken didn't know was Adrastia is the hobo with the heart of gold, and she wanted to end this sham relationship hours before a murder happened. Which you might be thinking is very convenient, but again, I'm not going to accuse her anything in this video.
Now, once again, you see why Adonis Paul, is not accusing her of murder. Now, you can see why Roger is accusing her of being the mastermind of the murder.
So that night, after treating him to dinner, she told him it's over. Just leave her at Meemaw's, go back to his house, and go back to his fiancée and forget this ever happened. When Kenneth immediately grabs her by the arm and whispers in her ear, "If you don't get in the truck, I'm going to kill Meemaw." I'm quoting that from the book. They took off in the truck. She claims she tried to jump out, but was threatened with a knife, and they arrived at Kenneth's house, where he tells her to sit in the truck while he goes inside. And if she opens the door, the truck alarm will sound and she will be shanked. Now, it's important at this point in the story to go to our Google Maps here and look at where this crime took place.
Now, the thing is Adrastia is not a heavy person. And Kenneth McBride was a fat ass. So, let's keep this in context. Now, this is where the murder happened. Adrastia is true crime.
It's about an acre with a small house on it, 100 yards from neighbors on 3 sides next to a road. Adrastia definitely could have bolted when he went inside, especially since she would have a lead on this fat fuck, armed only with a knife. But whatever, she's a scared young girl and does what she's told. Besides, apparently if she doesn't cooperate, he will kill her Meemaw. And none of us want that to happen. So she sits in this truck for an hour until Kenneth comes outside and tells her, "I have a gift for you." Because, it's her birthday. Then he brings her inside to view the naked, raped, and mutilated body of Roberta Laws, his disabled fiancée of 10 years with cerebral palsy, who had just been strangled with a vinyl rope during a rape and murder, apparently squeezing her throat so hard that one eye had burst from its socket. Again, this is Adrastia's telling of the story at this point. She says she went quiet, catatonic, paralyzed. The woman who responds to YouTube comments like this.
Enough for you? Is this human enough for you? Is this enough? Is it ever going to be enough? That's not changing my story! That's not saying it's 4chan and not Adonis! That's saying that Adonis put it on 4chan!
This is AG1. This is daily.
More.
News plus
I guess we're giving
Adonis
Adonis social ads today.
Millions of people could have seen it and shared it by now! How do you know I'm going to be fine?
Kept her mouth shut when confronted with a murder and apparently a movie villain level Buffalo Bill psychopath. But hey, people respond differently to different things. She then watched and assisted by getting the garbage bags and washing the blood off of stuffed animals as Kenneth chopped up Roberta's body and buried her in a shallow grave in the backyard. Absolutely horrific. And keep in mind, some of these details are backed up by evidence, like the state of the corpse, the eye that's popped out of her skull, where she was buried, the method of death. What's questionable is Adrastia's story about how she couldn't report this murder for 5 weeks and yet was completely innocent of any liability in the situation, up to and including trying to break off the relationship just hours before. Adrastia said she thought they were so far in the woods nobody would even hear her if she screamed. It really was a, and I would have got away with it too, situation. Roberta had no family or friends, and nobody was looking for Adrastia's crusty ass. She's a psycho, chronic runaway junkie hobo. For the next 5 weeks, according to Adrastia and not the movie Silence of the Lambs, she was handcuffed to a bed by one hand, continuously raped, beaten, tortured, and kept hostage by this Floridian Buffalo Bill so she wouldn't run and tell anybody about the murder. She wasn't allowed to be up and around by herself until he could trust her enough not to talk. Because this isn't from a movie. One day, he decided to unshackle her to clean his house, and he took a nap, where she heroically made a break for it and ran to a local gas station. And in a
Now, unfortunately, a video contradicts Adrastia's story.
employee there drove her to the next town where she tried to anonymously report a possible murder. Unfortunately, when it comes to a murder case, anonymity means shit to the cops, and that's when they picked up Kenneth, found the body, and raided Mima's house to get Adrastia's computers, as they had found some questionable communications with Kenneth about getting rid of his disabled fiancée, which might be the worst part of all of this. In her mind, this was her husband. They'd been engaged for 10 years, murdering her so he could fuck a hobo. And to be honest, chances are he could have fucked the hobo and gotten away with it for a very long time. Except for the hobo's neurotic need to be the only one in this relationship she made herself a side piece to. Now, Adrastia was never charged as an accomplice, but the report said some pretty interesting things. Apparently, she wasn't lying about Mima being loaded, because according to her aunt, Mima paid $50,000 to get a lawyer for Adrastia, and that's the reason she's not in prison. That's according again to her aunt. Now, that is a...
Now, you notice that Adrastia didn't say, Granny blew $50K, so I didn't go to jail forever.
lot for someone who is just a witness to a crime.
Now, remember what I said earlier. Her whole life, she would cry to get money out of her grandma because, her grandmother just threw out 50 fucking K. So that's why I can say what I say with Adrastia basically used her grandmother her whole life and developed this way of getting her way, of crying and threatening herself until money fell upon her.
But then again, that may have had a little something to do with McBride, the murderer, claiming that Adrastia demanded they get Laws out of their life, setting her up as an accomplice for this crime, with the public defender going on to say if he was a loaded gun, she pulled the trigger regarding Adrastia. Also keep in mind, McBride was not charged with any kidnapping or rape or torture or any of that Adrastia claims he did to her. So due to the deficit of legal defense offered to McBride when compared to Mary, combined with her being a state witness and the person reporting the crime, and probably so mentally fragile they treated her with kid gloves so she wouldn't stop talking, she got off the hook. While McBride was sentenced to death by a Florida jury. Fortunately for him, the judge overruled the jury and issued him life in prison instead. An act that caused the state attorney's office to go after the judge publicly and rushed him to an end to his career. It was kind of a big deal. It's important that you knew that story, because it will be referenced a lot. Links to the news articles cited are in the description. Because while you're watching the life of Adrastia, try to imagine this neurotic, insane, screaming harpy being quiet for 5 weeks of containment and torture. Try to imagine her not harping on this guy day and night to get rid of his fiancée and be with her. I believe Kenneth McBride's telling of the events way more than I did Adrastia's in her book. But let me be clear, I do not think she murdered Roberta Laws. But I do think she tried to comply and hide it until her manic, neurotic mind panicked one day, thinking if she didn't report it, she would end up in prison. I have no faith she was kept shackled to a bed, and I have no faith that this screaming psycho responds with catharsis to a shock. Adrastia writes this book as if she is some kind of quiet, introspective, little battered angel. But that just doesn't ring true when you look at the library of 1,900 screaming psycho videos she's produced since 2017. After this, a few years later, Mima died. leaving Adrastia to live in her condo for free, where according to her aunt, she left the place disgusting with blood sprayed on the walls and much more than that. She then apparently moved to a trailer with no water or power on the back of Mima's property. And that is where the videos begin. It's time to ease it in like a gentleman with the trailer years.
But yes, now he starts her trailer years, but I wanted you to hear that preface of the murder of Roberta Laws. Because once again, you've heard what she said. You heard what she said about Adonis Paul. And he's a whole lot more fair to her than the rest of us are. You heard him say, don't bother her. You heard him give her every benefit of the doubt. And this is supposedly the evil man that's out to destroy. And now we will shift to Bob and Lori. Now, Bob and Lori have been protesting. Well, actually, Bob has been protesting where he used to work at, a center for the blind in Stockton, California. He only worked there 6 months. And I believe he's been protesting for more than 6 months. And once again, Bob is a cry bully. But the thing is he's an aggressive cry bully with Lori. I mean, they try to bully me all the time, and it's not going to work because, I mean, nothing good. Well, like, let's go to the community tab. They must be asleep now because 11 hours ago, they linked something Nicolina put. Wow. I mean, this is mental gymnastics from Lori. I mean, I was going to read that off, but I'm afraid if I read that, you would lose an IQ point. Then another one linked of Nicolina. Then another 15 hours ago, I think that Mean Girls Chat is a very dirty place by the sounds of it. I mean, why would you even bother? I mean, I think that most of the Boyd is a mean place with horrible people. But I don't have to put that on my community tab. I think everybody can figure that out all for themselves. Then she has another one about Nicolina. Then Constant Sue, one about her. I'm sorry, Constant Sue has something to say that you're being so gaslit by some people. I didn't see you did anything wrong. Yeah, Constant Sue does, and I'm not even going to go in that drama, but it's easy to say that Constant Sue is a Jimbo mod now, and Constant Sue is banned on this channel and will never, ever, 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 never again be allowed to speak here. Now, another one, she says, it's no secret that Ash and us haven't gotten along all that well out here, but I would like to say that I think it's great she's standing up for what she believes in. No, because she criticized someone that you didn't like. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Go show her some love. Even if her and I never speak again, I hope she can find peace with her new choices. By the way, both Bob and Lori have bad cases of borderline personality disorder. And they're both horribly angry and manipulated people. And then, I mean, all of it, like the next two are about Kaz. And we busted them attacking Kimmy's. And they're still denying it and claiming it was Nicolina all along. Now, you see, Bob and Lori are Adrastia. It's just there's no murder of Roberta Laws. And many times they know when to shut up. But whatever they can lie and shade about constantly, they do. Or, I mean, the stuff against me. a lot of it is against terms of service. Now, the fact of the matter is Bob's a big giant wussy, and so's Lori. Now, Bob last week, or no, it's the week before last, no, it's still Saturday, so it's still this week. Last week, Bob called the police on me. Yes, and told them that I had a picture of his kid that I shot on a screenshot on YouTube. And no one has seen this picture. It is still on my phone. I've not shown it to anyone. I've not even direct messaged it to anyone. Now, supposedly, Nicolina gave me this picture, which is a screenshot I took off YouTube, which is on the phone that is right now the camera. And no one's ever seen this picture. But yes, and it's of his kid in his fat damn face. Now, Bob also is claiming that I have pictures of kids on my phone, dirty pictures. And of course, he called the police and told them that. Now, the police are not here because I've made it quite clear to them that if any of them come out here, I will take that hay money that I can get and I will sue them. I have made it clear to all of the law enforcement here that if any of you bastards come out here for anything involving the internet, I'm suing the officer, I'm suing the sheriff's department, I'm suing the sheriff himself, and I'm suing the county. Now, what that will definitely end up in is the deputy being fired because it will be costing them money. And it would probably cause the sheriff to lose his next election. So this is why they will never do this. Now you see, I have been falsely arrested twice. And I have made it completely clear that if I ever get falsely arrested again, I'm going to own your ass. Because like I said, I can go to any ambulance chaser after 3 false arrests, and I'm going to be wealthy. And this is my position with law enforcement. And I remind them of this, that I have proved that I have been falsely arrested twice. And I have told them straight out, I get falsely arrested again, I am going to take everything that you fucking own. And this is why, no matter how much they cry, they're never coming out here. Because they flat out know that if that ever happens to me again, I have them completely by the fucking balls. Hello, Intuitive. Hello, Christy. And anyone else I missed, my apologies. But yes, I mean, this is one reason why I'm not worried. And we are way out here, and they don't do this. We elect our sheriff. I mean, in reality, if I ran for sheriff, I got probably about a 15 to 20, maybe 20, at best 25% chance of winning. So in reality, if I ran for sheriff about 5 times, I would win. If I really wanted to. I mean, if I wanted to be the sheriff of this county, I probably wouldn't win the first time. I might not win the second time. In fact, likely not the second time, but either the third, the fourth, or the fifth one, I would likely win. Now, I don't want to be sheriff, but in reality, I have no criminal record, and I am qualified to be sheriff because the people that they elect sheriff, I have more schooling on it than they do. Well, yeah, YTS. And you see, here in the 1990s, every meth head swatted every other meth head. And they don't do it anymore. I mean, it don't matter what you call and tell them, they're not coming. Sorry. Nope. You know, unless they can tie it to a local address, literally a landline from a local address, they will not come, no matter what you say or what you do. Because, like I said, during the 90s, it was abused just like it's being now. And that was the eventual solution. They don't just jump. Now, the big cities do that because they're afraid of getting sued. Now, once again, they might have to say, well, this is our policy because we're afraid against getting sued. Where if they come out here after me being false arrested twice, they're getting sued. In fact, I will sue them until every principal person is cost their job. Because once it costs the county money to defend this in court, the cop would lose the job and the sheriff would probably end up losing his next election. Or need to step down, depending on how that played out. Now, they know this, but Bob thinks that he can call from California and they're going to jump right out here. Now, when that didn't work, he's been trying to get people to take my animals or flag my channel. And once again, if anyone was ever to cause me that kind of problems, it's going to be bad for them. Because you remember what I said earlier in this live. Anything that is an actual threat to my life, I will eliminate. I mean, my family's all dead. I don't have a wife, and I don't have any kids. And if someone was to take everything away from me, well, I would have to take everything away from them. But people like Bob don't understand that. I mean, they're so angry and they're such a bully, they think they can just keep pushing. Now, Bob hides behind being blind. But at this point, I mean, blind or not, he would have to put up his dukes. I'd like to know, has Bob ever been in a real fight? I mean, where people say bullshit or try to discount me. I'm not sure if you can see it in the light, but look right across his eye. Now, see that scar that goes from like here to here? That was one of my battle wounds. That one sucked. You could see my skull. I looked in the mirror with my face bleeding, and, I was all open here, and you could see the white of my skull right here. That took 6 stitches, by the way. That was one of my worst busting opens from a fight, was right through there. And that was blunt force trauma. And up here, you don't think you can see it anymore, but this spot right here, that was 3 stitches. So, it's once again where, people say, you lie about your past. I mean, every time that I look in the mirror, I remember that right there. Hello, Hunter. No, no, it's not a threat. It's a promise. I mean, if someone was to take everything away from me, I would take everything away from them. That is a tit for tat. Just saying. That is not a threat. I said if anyone took everything away from me, I would take everything away from them. That's not a threat. That's a statement of fact. You see, there's a difference between a threat and a statement of fact. It's like Russia says they will use a nuclear weapon. And we say, we will hit you with a full-scale nuclear strike should you use a weapon. That is not a threat. That is a response. You see, once again, words mean something. In the world that we live in right now, people try to make the words mean whatever they want whenever they feel like it. But it does not work that way. And by the way, YouTube schizophrenic, are you for real? Permaban that motherfucker. Just saying. Because, we don't put up with shit here, and we know you're nothing more than a troll account, and probably Bob and Lori. But yes, if anyone was a problem, if someone took everything away from me, I guarantee you 100% I would take everything away from them. Well, thank you, Christy. I mean, the world is full of lines. It's like, in reality, if, like most of you here are ladies, if anyone was to threaten your child, you would have the same, you would have the same lines. I mean, if someone would take your family away from you, you would be willing to take away theirs. I mean, that is a tit for tat. That is a statement of fact. This is the way the world actually works. Just saying. Now, it's like around here. If you piss off your neighbors, they're going to burn you out. And this is why you don't piss off your neighbors. Just saying. I mean, you just know that around here. Now, once again, in most of our cities nowadays, they live in such a micro environment. People packed in that they get these silly ideas that the law cares. The law's just there to clean up the mess. I mean, that's all the cops do. They clean up the mess from life. Hello, aloha. Well, actually, many times I will give mercy. I mean, Rich Life of Road Trips hated me. He had an accident close to my house. No shit. About 35 miles up the road, Rich Life wiped out on the interstate. And at the time, he hated me the most. And I offered him help. Now, he refused my help. But at the time, my worst enemy on the internet had an accident. And I offered him help. Because I could have set him up a hotel room. Because I had a distant cousin that was a hotel clerk in Lexington. And he wiped out in Richmond, which is just up the road from Lexington. So, and my distant cousin, he gets comp rooms. So I was going to set him up with a comp room in Lexington, and give him a place to stay after his accident and someone to run him back and forth to where he could get some vehicle together. So, once again, my worst enemy at the time, when he had an accident, I offered to help him. He refused my offer, and I said, okay. And then a couple days later, I went to Philadelphia. But, once again, there's lines, I am completely capable of giving mercy. That's not a problem. In fact, many times I can be inclined to mercy. But the fact of the matter is someone that is literally trying to destroy you any way they can, once again, that is an eye for an eye. Now, Bob and Lori does all of this to incite you so they can play cry bully. And these are our three big cry bullies: Milton John, Adrastia, and Bob and Lori. They're bookends. And these are all cry bullies. Their entire stick is to try to make you the bad guy so they can feel good about themselves. And now this has been the point of this human cartoons. And for the next couple weeks, I'm going to have different content, but I am going to go heavily to illustrate what a cry bully is versus a person that has a legitimate grievance. There are people that do have legitimate arguments that they are being bullied. Now, once again, people like Milton, Adrastia, and Bob and Lori, they make it hard to tell the two. So this is going to be the educational part of this channel for a little while. We are going to separate what people being bullied look like versus the cry bully. So once again, I'm kind of introducing this week the cry bullies, and then next week we'll probably do some educational stuff that won't be as dramatic about what actual bullying looks like. Well, Hunter, he's out there in his current channel, unless it's knocked out. Is Nomadic Chicagoan. But he's still around. His live streams are usually in the middle of the night. He deletes them, and there's nothing interesting. You know, it's not the old Elvis travel stick. So, everyone, thank you for coming, and thank you for joining me for Saturday morning human cartoons. And as long as I'm not having seizures, these will be every Saturday morning at some time. You know, depending on my schedule on the day, because this live I make heavily for replay, because I tend to make them lighter. And we had a bunch of stupid audio, so I thought I would make it into a cartoon. In fact, I've been saving stupid audio for a few days just to play today. And in reality, I had so much stupid audio left, I could do an entire another one of these programs. Now, you know what? I might do that. Not now, not today, but maybe in the middle of the night while I'm sitting here one night, not able to sleep this week. I'll take the rest of that and we'll have a special edition of Human Cartoons, but do it in the middle of the night. Now, everyone, thank you for coming, and I've enjoyed talking with you this morning.